Hey everybody, this is David opposing the Matrix. How the heck are you? I'm doing pretty good. Actually, I was a little melancholy today. We've had this dog, man. He's a terrier mix. I think he's like a terrier and Pomeranian with an attitude, man. I love the dog. He's always been my favorite. And well, he's 14 years old now, and he's not doing too well. And I think his days are numbered, and we're gonna have to put him down. But when you have something in your life or someone in your life like that's you've had for so many years, and you're spending all your home time and everything with them, him. Speaking of animals, people are much more different and complex. But anyway, it's just very difficult. And so we're watching, and we had planned on going up tomorrow to put him down, but he seems better tonight. I don't know. What are you going to do? For those of you, some of you have asked how my mom's doing, because I told you a couple shows ago or something that keep her in prayer, if you would. She's doing much better. She's home, and they wanted to put her in rehab. She said, "No, I want to go home. Just take me home, and I'll try to do everything I can, and then have somebody come and help me with the stuff I can't do." So anyway, she's doing much better, which must be a relief of my sister, who's basically been tasked with taking care of her. I took care of my dad. She takes care of my mom. So. I don't know if that's a good testimony. My dad died in 1999, so it's how good a care did I take him? No, I mean I did. I was a good, faithful son. Anyway, I get off on these rabbit trails again. So anyway, that's what's going on here, and so I wanted to make sure that I was over my melancholiness, so to speak, before I came out here and got on the air, and so I took care of that earlier. And I don't know. It's dogs have a special place right here in my heart. They really do, and there's nothing like a good, faithful dog. Anyway, okay, so let's move on. So anyway, those of you that prayed for my mom and for me to get better, both of your prayers were answered. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm just waiting for my iron levels to come back up. And when they do, hey, it's onward and upward, right? No weapon formed against me will prosper. That's what the scripture says. And this is the heritage of those who serve the Lord. And I don't know. I'm just really happy to hear that, and happy to say it, and happy to be a witness, so to speak, of its truth. Okay, so we've been going through this series, and we're on today. We're on 6 out of 10, and today promises to be a pretty interesting one. I think it's interesting anyway. I hope you guys are getting stuff out of this and you think it's interesting. So today we're going to look at the hidden architecture of Earth. Things like deep underground military bases, which we've touched on so many times. We'll touch on it briefly today. Where are we going here? Okay. Ley lines. Have you heard about ley lines? Well, you will today. Portals. We've all heard about portals, right? But when you go back in Scripture and look, there were portals back then, and there are portals now, and there's probably been portals all throughout history. Maybe we'll look a little bit at that too. If I didn't have time to crack open Michael Mott's book, Caverns, Cauldrons, and Concealed Creatures, but I've pretty well got it up here, so I'll just try to remember everything I can. But so we got to remember and never forget this, that beneath our feet and across our skies, okay, there may be more happening than meets the eye or ear or mouth or tongue or nose or whatever, There are some things that transcend our five senses, and sometimes we're privy to find out what those things are. Other times we just go merrily bumbling on through our existence without even knowing. And I'm sure that when we have I kind of feel that we're going to have when we get to paradise in heaven, that we're going to have this movie we're going to get to watch of ourselves, okay? And it ain't going to be pretty because it's going to have all the stupid things we did. That's what I think anyway. I mean, heaven's not a sad place, but I don't think it will be sad. We'll just see. I think the attitude is going to be, well, I messed up here, but I'm in heaven, so Yeshua got me here, so thank you. I couldn't do it on my own, but he got me here. So, and that's why I plan on just falling at his feet and crying for about, and tears of thanksgiving, of course, for about a million years. and then I'll get up and dust myself. Well, I won't have to dust myself off, but I'll just get up and go away and antagonize people. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Okay, so let's see. Deep underground military bases, like we talked about, DUMBs, ley lines, energy grids, and ancient portals are these strategic points or just human constructions? Are they fiction? Are they the fancy thoughts of some people that have nothing better to do than to think of these things and putting them out in front of people? And today with the internet, oh, I'll tell you, I get so disgusted. I heard the one that really ticked me off, folks, real quick, is there's a rumor going around that Donald Trump is dead, that he's been killed. And I don't want to hear that crap anymore. I really don't. They got to rein these people in, man. I mean, there's freedom of speech and everything, but that's ridiculous. And I would say that about anybody, you know, that they're making these things up about, not just Donald Trump. Okay. Let's see. And we know that because of Ephesians 6, that our real enemies aren't corporeal, that they're, let's see. I always forget. We wrestle not with flesh and blood. We wrestle with powers, principalities, rulers, something in high places, evil in high places, and stuff like that. And all those things are spiritual in nature. However, I think the last one, the power in high places, I think that kind of transcends. I think that's the where heaven and earth, where hell and earth meet to get the ball rolling for them. They're their side, you know. So, and those are probably the people like I don't know. I might be going out on a limb here, but the Rothschilds and stuff like that, or it could be the Nephilim. You know, there are Nephilim living today, and they're as animated as you and I are, and so they might be the link. There's a well-founded. I was talking to Ralph one day, and there's a well-founded theory that these what do you call them? The Great White Brotherhood. See, my brain's getting better. I'm starting to remember things. The Great White Brotherhood is in control, and they live somewhere over the Himalayas. And you know what's real interesting about that? I got to get into this. And fits right in where we're talking about. If you look at that map that you can get from, was it Flight 24 radar or something like that, and you examine it, and you go over to where like southern China and the Himalayas are, and just north of India, and no planes ever fly over that area. Nothing. Never, ever do planes fly over that area. The only planes that get even close are the planes that are going into Nepal, you know, to land and I guess, you know, drop people off and pick people up and fly. But they never fly across it. Never. What's there that they don't want people seeing? What's, you know, is that kind of like Nephilim paradise and they don't want people to observe it, you know? Are they afraid that the Nephilim are going to try to bring the planes down, you know, by whatever means they could? Maybe they know some incantations, or maybe they know some methods of messing with electrical patterns and stuff, or disrupting them. You know, it's hard to say. And someday we'll find all this stuff out. I don't know if we're just even going to be interested when we get to the high place, to heaven. So, okay. So let's see. So could it be that the fallen powers use these sites to manipulate the matrix that we live in? Yeah, it's quite possible. And I would say most likely probable. Yeah, so that works. Yeah, that's kind of like going out on a limb, but making sure that you're tied off on three parts of the tree. Okay. If you've ever worn those safety belts out on construction jobs, it's you know, it's usually they're one size. Well, they're in different sizes, but you know, the same material and everything for the big guys is for the little, and you kind of hope that they tested them on the big guys, because if you fall out of that basket or something, and there's a 100-foot fall or something, you don't want to find out the hard way. Okay. So if we look at Scripture, we look at the Bible, the Bible, the Sefer. Let's look at it for biblical examples. Okay. Well, there's something really neat that happened. And I don't know if I have a movie of it. I don't think I do. Video. Something called Jacob's Ladder. Okay, and I know I've read it enough times, and I pretty well know about it, so I don't need a movie, I guess. But anyway, so we'll go back to where Jacob and his brother Esau are. Well, we have to go all the way back to when they were born. They were twins, but they didn't look anything alike. Okay, so they weren't identical twins. And so when before they were born, or I think right after this one incident happened, I think Jacob's wife was praying or something and wanted to know why this particular thing happened. I'm going to talk about right now, because when it was time to give birth, let's see, Jacob came out, but a hand reached out from the womb and pulled them back in. And then Esau was born. So basically, Jacob was supposed to be the first, but for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe the satanic powers were in control of Esau even in the womb. I don't know. But he pulled Jacob back in, and he was born, thus becoming the firstborn. Because in Middle Eastern culture, the firstborn was always the one that got all the rights. You know, they were the ones that when the father passed away, they took care of the mother. One sec. Down a little bit. They took care of the mother. They watched over their brothers. They had the power, the family. They usually got the wealth of the family and divvied it out as they thought it was needed to the rest of the brothers and sisters. And so it sounds to me like Yahweh knew that Jacob was supposed to be born first. Esau prevented it, but Yahweh circumvented the whole thing because his mother was very attuned to the Holy Spirit and prayed a lot, and got this idea that what she would do is deceive her husband. Okay, and so what happened is Jacob, because Esau was the firstborn, Jacob respected him and loved him, and not that he didn't love Jacob, but he because of the firstborn, the whole firstborn thing. That lasted for thousands of years until just recently. Now you can't have that because it's not nice. It's unfair. Anyway, I'm sorry. Our society just pisses me off sometimes. But anyway, so what happened was Esau came in to see his father. His father's getting old. The father sent for him. And, as they did a lot of times in the scriptures, the father wanted to talk to the eldest son first. I guess he maybe to get all things planned out and everything. And then talk to the younger son and all the other siblings. But in this case, there was only the two. But he went in to talk to his father, and his father said, I want to have a talk with you, but I'd really like, he says, I'm getting ready to go to get called unto my fathers, he said. I love that term. Yeah. Sorry for the dog noise. Our neighbors put their dog out and then don't let him back in. So there's going to be barking for the whole show, just so you know, until they let him in. But, okay, Jacob and Esau. Okay, so what happened was the father says, really, I love it when you go out and hunt because you get the greatest animals and the most tasty animals, and then you bring them home and your mother cooks them up for me. So go out and catch me some what is the word? Game meat, okay? I'm thinking maybe over there would be like antelope or something like that. I don't think they have deer in Israel. No, well, they must, because this song has a deer runs through the water. But anyway, so Esau leaves. Well, the mother knew what was going on, and so she called Jacob in real quick. And what she did is she took a piece of cloth, and she must have been working on this before. She must have, because you just don't do this. Unless Esau was out for 2 or 3 days, and she knew that was going to happen. But anyway, so she takes this fabric and sews into it different hairs from animal hairs that are coarse, like horses and goats. They have coarse hair. It would have been just like the arm of Esau, because Esau was a very hairy man. And so then she put this thing on his arm, tied it to his arm, and sent him in. She had cooked already a stew for Jacob. No, for Isaac. Sorry, she cooked the soup for Isaac, and so Jacob went in there, kind of lowered his voice or disguised his voice, and the father couldn't see. So the father says, "Is that you, Esau?" He says, "Yes, it is." And he says, "You don't sound like Esau." And I don't know, I can't remember why he said that, what happened to that, but He goes, come closer to me. I want to, touch you. So he goes over, and father puts his hand on Esau's arm, or excuse me, Jonathan, Jacob's arm, and feels it's real rough and like an outdoorsman is outside every day of the year forever and ever, and it's, oh yeah, okay, it is you, Esau. Okay, he says, so sit down. He says, I'm going to give you the rights of the firstborn and stuff like that. Everything you say will be like law with our family. Everything you do will have my blessing in the whole 9 yards. So he promised him the whole store. And anyway, he gets out of there, right? And then it was Leah, right? I can't remember. It was Isaac and Rebecca. Yeah. So Rebecca says, we got to get you out of here, because when Esau finds out about this, he is really going to be pissed, and I'm afraid he's going to do something to you. So she, packs a few things for him and says, I want you to go to my father's country, which was over in the Babylon area, I can't remember the name of the town, but it was in like northern Iraq. And you can get a wife there. Talk to my father, Laban. Man, I was really reaching for these names tonight. Just talk to my father, and and see what you can work for him and the whole 9 yards. So anyway, Jacob takes off. Well, Esau finds out about it. He's pissed, but he never figures out where Jacob went. I got to really speed this up because it's a long story. But anyway, Jacob goes there. But on the way, something very interesting happens. He's disoriented. You can imagine what it'd be like. You were living kind of a mellow life and everything, and all of a sudden you just deceived your father, deceived your brother, robbed him out of his inheritance, and and it's not good for you right now. So what happened was, so he meets Laban. I think it was Laban. And Laban's got a couple of daughters, and he falls in love with the older one, but I can't. Anyway, Leah didn't have very good eyes. I don't know what that means. I didn't know if she's blind or if maybe one eye was one color and one was the other or whatever. But the scripture says that her eyes were not right. But so anyway, he's promised Rachel, but Laban, talk about deceit. This whole thing is like a soap opera. So he's getting married, she's got the veil on and everything. He doesn't see her and stuff, so they get married, and it's the wedding night, and they're together, and she pulls the wedding veil off, and it's Leah. Oh, you deceived me. And he says, so Laban says, okay, just kind of relax. But I kind of jumped over that to tell you that there was a reason why he was going there, not just to get away from Esau, and he ends up staying there for quite a while, years, and develops a very large flock of goats, and finally almost has to escape, because every time he tries to get out of there, Laban's like, okay, why don't you work for me for a few more years and I'll give you this. Anyway, so on his way there, he like I said, he was disoriented. He just had deceived his father and his brother. He was probably worried about his mother, because she was going to be implicated, especially if somebody found that hairy arm thing that he wore. But anyway, so he's on his way to that part of the world. I don't know. It's Mesopotamia, and he's there one night, and he gets very tired, and he lays down. It says that he used a rock for his pillow, and so you're in the desert there's no accommodations whatsoever. There's no bathroom. There's no shower. There's no bed. So you make anything you can into what you can find comfort on. So I guess somehow he arranged the rock to where his head felt okay. But anyway, he falls asleep. And while he's sleeping, he has this dream. Now, some say it's a dream. Others say it was a vision, okay? And only he knows for sure. So let's just pretend. Yeah, you pick your way, I'll pick mine, okay? I think it was a vision myself. I think that maybe he woke up while he was sleeping and he saw this vision. But in either case, this is what he saw. He says as he looked up into the sky, and he said he saw a ladder coming down from heaven. And he says, on that ladder, the angels of Yahweh were descending and ascending from the earth to the heaven, from heaven to earth. And he marveled at it. He really did. And I can't remember the story if he tried to go up the ladder or not, but obviously he didn't. So somewhere in this story, I think it's right after this vision goes away, he runs into this fella, a very unusual character, and so unusual that he kind of freaks out Jacob, and they get into this altercation where they wrestle one another, and Jacob's winning. But what he doesn't know is that this character that he's wrestling is actually Yeshua. Okay, and so Yeshua must have really had a lot of grace, because how it is being a guy. You start wrestling first, you think it's playing and stuff like that, and then after you get your head in a headlock a couple of times, you say, hey, this guy is really fighting to win. I'm going to fight to win too. So anyway, he keeps fighting, and I guess Yeshua either got tired of it or whatever, but he touched Jacob's hip, and it came out of joint. And so he named, first of all, because of the dream, he named the place Bethel, which means house of God. And he set up a marker there, and that was common to do back then. I've done that too. I don't know if you've ever done it, but on your yard or something, if something special's happened there, you kind of put a little pile of rocks or something so that you can remember. You see the rocks, oh yeah, that's why they're there. And so anyway, and then he leaves and then he meets Leah and Rachel and Laban and everybody else. Then he gets married, and later on, way later on, he comes back and he meets Esau. And by that time, Esau had kind of calmed down a little bit. But just to be safe, Jacob says, okay, here, I want to take half of my family, and you guys go that way. I'm going to approach, with me and just a few individuals, I'm going to go approach Esau and see how things are. That way, if something happens, my family won't all get killed off. Because that's what they did back then. Especially with royalty and stuff like that. They didn't just kill the king. They killed the king, the queen, the kids, and cousins, and aunts and uncles, and everybody else. So he meets Esau, and it's an amiable thing, and he gives Esau tons of stuff, goats and sheep and the whole 9 yards. And so how can Esau turn that down? And he didn't kill him either, which is really good. So anyway, that was the peculiarity, of course, was, first, the stairway. Okay. And I often wonder if Led Zeppelin, when he sang Stairway to Heaven, if that's where he got the idea. But I can't see him having read the scriptures. I think he was so anti-God, it's not funny. But so anyway, we had a peculiarity there, okay? Jacob's ladder, he meets Yahweh or Yeshua, or Yahweh, and has an altercation with him, and that place I think is still called Bethel to this day. It was Yeshua's time. So things in the old world like that seem to tend to last for a long time. Meaning names and stuff like that. And if they get exiled, like the Jews and the Israelis did, when they come back, they rename the places again after what they were before. So another weird thing that happened, the way that the matrix was kind of disturbed, or it was a disturbing matrix, was the visions that Ezekiel had. And if you can read, hold on a sec, folks. You can read books by von Daniken and a lot of other of the ancient astronaut people that claim that this was a UFO that Ezekiel encountered, and try to explain away the architecture of, or the structure of the ship, the angels, the cherubim, I think, that came down, and the wheel within a wheel. Trying to explain that away as something, as we as contemporaries would think is something scientific or something. But maybe it was just a wheel within a wheel. Sometimes in order to make their point, they really stretch things out and make things. They take things that might seem absurd and make them look stupid. Okay. And so there was that, and there were a lot of different times, and this is basically getting into the portal stuff that we're going to talk about a little later. But look at Isaiah was taken to heaven. John, the apostle. Let's see. Isaiah. I think Jeremiah went, but I think he did actually. But a lot of the prophets were taken and saw visions of heaven, visions, or they were there. I tend to think that they were there. Yeah, it's really amazing, and some of the stuff that's happened. But it just goes to prove that the matrix that's here is covering something. It's hiding something that Yahweh doesn't want us to see. Not until He comes back to make all things new. Okay? But imagine if mankind knew that there was another reality. There really was another reality that was better than this one, and we got kicked out of it. Can you imagine all the stupid, weird little religions that they would make up trying to appease God so that they could get into the thing? It's crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but it is crazy because people are just that stupid. They don't. Oh, thunder. Oh, this would be interesting. I hope we don't lose power, folks. If we do, see you on Thursday. But where was I going here before the thunder? But yeah, so there's a lot of things that you ever hear that a glitch in the matrix. We hear about that all the time. You'll see it in a video of a bird just not even flapping its wings, just sitting there, right, and not even moving, even though you can tell that things are happening all around. This thing's just sitting there. And there was another one. What was it? An airplane flying, and it's just sitting there. Nothing's happening. There's no noise from the motor or anything else. Almost like it was a mistake in the choreographing of this reality. It's quite bizarre. So there are glitches that happen all the time in a matrix. Okay, and proving that there is a matrix, and showing us, and in showing us that he's showing us that don't necessarily take stock in everything you see in this reality, because it's although it's real and everything, it doesn't mean it's going to last forever, or that it will be the condition of us when there's a new heaven and new earth and stuff like that. So that stuff's all going to die away, and thank God. Isn't it neat to know that someday you and me and everybody else, the people that are watching this, and everybody else has to come to faith in Yeshua, that we're gonna be clean, okay, for the first time ever. I'm saying we all take showers, we take baths and everything, try to keep the outside as clean as possible, but still there's that stain, I guess is a good word for it, or the condition that lingers all over us and in us because of the fall of mankind and the fall of nature, for that matter, too. So, just to show you that there's glitches all over the place. Now, one of the words that's going to come up, or one of the places that's going to come up that we're talking about tonight, is Mount Hermon. Mount Hermon is it's located in a really strange place. It's northeastern Israel. I mean, extremely northeastern Israel, almost in Syria. As a matter of fact, the mountain separates Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. Each country owns a little part of it, but as of recently, the Israeli army going into that area, they've basically taken over the whole mountain and stuff like that. But it's a notorious mountain, it really is, and it's and the notoriety isn't good notoriety. Okay, Mount Hermon is where, according to Scripture in the book of First Enoch, is where the fallen angels, or the sons of God, first came down onto the earth to set foot on earth, and they set foot on Mount Hermon. Very high mountain too. Usually when there's desert conditions around the whole area, it still has snow on top of it. It's kind of pretty, the contrast between the winter top and the southern desert. So, yeah, so and another thing that's interesting, and we'll talk about this more in a little later, it's on the 33rd degree parallel. Yeah, hold on for that one, because that's a whole subject all in itself. Well, maybe not. Anyway, let's look at some of the stuff that the glitches in the Matrix, or the characteristics of the Matrix, or the makeup of the Matrix. So legends and traditions hold that there once was a Stargate on Mount Hermon, referred to as the Nephilim Gate. That's interesting. I've never heard that before. This last week was the first time I've ever heard this. So a little more knowledge for the vault, right? Let's see. So let's see some other stuff here. Oh, let's see. We're going to touch a little tonight on rumors of DUMBs and their experiments underground. And always remember that Yahweh knew about this stuff way before. Remember, he knows the end from the beginning and the beginning from the end. He knew everything before anything was ever created. Okay, it's amazing, because he talks about that to Jeremiah. He says, "Hey man, when you were in your mother's womb," he says, "I was taking care of you and I was watching over you, and there's some scriptures that talk about that he knew us before the foundation of the earth, before he ever thought about making the earth, the heavens, the stars, the sun, the moon, everything else. We were in his plans, okay? And that's why I think when it says in Genesis, he says, let's make man in our image. Well, he's had however many eons, because you can't use time. There's no time in heaven. So how many eons worth of time, which doesn't exist in heaven, did he use to plan out everything that he was going to make? Or did it just come to him in a whim, in a second? I can see that happening. He's Almighty God, for goodness sakes. He could do anything he wants to, whenever he wants to, and however he wants to. And if he wants to think about creating a universe, brand new, gigantic universe with one thought, then that's up to him. By the way, I don't know if you heard, but I read that NASA is quite upset that back in the 70s they launched a couple of Voyager spacecrafts that were just supposed to basically go through our solar system and check out Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and back at that time was still a planet, Pluto. And it fulfilled that mission quite well. It took many years for him to do that, but after it fulfilled that mission, it kept going. I mean, there's nothing to stop it. You know, there's no gravitational force that far out in space that's going to stop the thing from leaving, or those things from leaving. So I think it's Voyager 2, yeah. And it came back, and the other Voyager I think confirmed this, but it came back that at the end of our solar system, at the very end of it, there's a wall of fire. And that was a good one. And what did it say? It was like 19,000 degrees the fire is, or something like that. I think I'm probably getting that wrong. But anyway, research it and check it out. I think you're going to find it very interesting. And if that's true, that kind of puts a damper on UFOs and aliens from other star systems. How are you going to get through that fire? My goodness. Oh, I know. They're probably going to go through a wormhole that's out there. They always think of these things, you know. People that really want to share their faith of UFOs and aliens with you. And they're going to do anything they have to share that faith. But the minute you mention Yeshua, oh, no, don't do that. That's a religion, and we don't want to hear about that. Well, so is the UFO cult. The UFO cult. Boy, that was almost hard to say. Let's see. Homemade portals. Okay. We have a lot of videos to watch. So maybe what I'd like to do real quick is I downloaded a couple of videos that are very short. And they have to do with just regular people like me and you who have created portals. I know I showed this one probably a couple of years ago now. One of our videos, but it just fascinates me. And now the one that's longer, it's the second one we're going to watch. What I found out, and you find this out at the end of the video, and then you have to try to figure out, okay, is it on the up and up? So what these guys do is they use lasers. They point them at a wall, and not the kind that's going to burn through the wall, but just something to kind of light up the wall, with different patterns. Anyway, uh, so, and then they look at it, they stare into it and see if there's anything they can see. Thing is that what you find out at the end is these guys are, are somehow taking a drug called DMT. Don't ask me what it stands for, but it's a hallucinogen. And I hear it's all the rage of the people that like, man, that fly is just out from my nose. It's the rage of all the people that like to get that kind of high, I never could understand it. I mean, I tried it a couple times myself, but it never really did anything for me. And maybe that's a good thing. Yeah, where was I going with this? Yeah, it's one thing I wanted. When we were talking about DUMBs a few minutes ago, deep underground military bases, in Scripture, like I said, Yahweh's ahead of everything, and he knew everything before it ever happened, before any human being or even demon or Satan or whatever could think of something evil. He knew it was going to happen. Okay. Now you might ask, well, why is he going to progress if he knows this is going to happen? Well, only he knows the answer to that. But I'm kind of happy because I came into being because of his plans, and so did you and everybody else. And I know there's like times like tax time and stuff like that. We're not too happy about being here, but we will not be here for much longer. I'm pretty concerned, or it's pretty well affirmed, and we're going to be up enjoying our Lord and Savior for a long, long time. Anyway, but in that regard, when it comes to the deep underground military bases, this is from Psalm 74:20, okay? And it's talking, I think what he's talking about here is having a regard for the Torah. Because even in David's time, there were people that were kind of getting away from the Torah, kind of like they have today. They have a Bible on their shelf, but they never crack it open and read it. It's there as an ornament, or maybe some people would say like a good luck charm, But what Yahweh said was quite interesting, because he says, have respect unto the covenant or the law. For the dark places of the earth are full of the habitations of cruelty. What do you think about when you think of the dark places of the earth? I think about caves, caverns, and things that are even deeper, like deep underground military bases. But he calls them habitations of cruelty, and if we get to go into it tonight, which I think we will, and we start talking about, not Dugway, Dulce, New Mexico, you're going to see that it's a habitation of cruelty, a very wicked kind of cruelty too. It's something that you want to stay far away from. You talk about, sometimes you think about going to these places and checking them out, and I'm like, no, what if they decide to keep me? I don't want to do that. That's okay. Now, some of the people that like it probably go, go, I'll pay for you. That's weird, folks. We usually don't get thunder and lightning in the summertime here, but when it happens east of here. It starts the big fires in Oregon, so we need to get some rain with it. If that happens, then everything will be good. And also, we're going to get into in a few minutes or a little while, ley lines, spelled Ley lines. Tesla was really into this. Maybe that there's lines that you can't see, of course, but that you could track somehow electromagnetically or something that follow the parallels of the Earth. And if you were to find a conjuncture of the two, maybe you could get some free energy. And folks, there is free energy out there. Real quick, I knew a pastor a few years ago here in Eugene, or up in Eugene. We're not in Eugene here. And he says, why don't you come on over and look at my Bedini wheel? And I'm like, okay. What's a Bedini wheel? He says, well, when you get over there, I'll show you. So we went over there, my wife and I did, and she went and spent time with the pastor's wife. And this Bedini wheel, what it is, it's a wheel, of course, and it's got a pulley on part of it, and somehow the pulley hooks up to a generator. But this Bedini wheel, it gets energy from the ambient air that's all around us. There's energy everywhere here, folks. You just can't see it or feel it. I think maybe we've become so acclimated to it that we don't feel it or see it. But and so all he did is he went over and went like this to the wheel, and then it started turning, okay, and it started turning to go faster and faster and faster, until it got to one velocity or one rotational velocity, and just stayed at that. And he says, well, right now what this thing is doing is collecting all the ambient energy out here. And so he had this thing hooked up to a bank of batteries, 12-volt car batteries. And he says, if you put one of those batteries on a charger, it's going to take 2 to 3 days to get it adequately charged. He says this happens in less than a day. And what it does is it takes the energy from the surrounding atmosphere, and it, instead of putting a slow, even charge on it like a battery charger would, those big clunking machines that they have, this thing shoots the energy in it real hard. And by doing that, it causes the battery to charge a lot faster than it would with a slow charge. And so he had a bank of 12 of them, and he says, all I got to do now, he says, is I have to get a converter that'll convert 12-volt DC into 12-volt AC, into 120-volt AC. Because if you have, it must have been 10, if you have 10 120 or 10 12-volt batteries, that's 120 volts, right? And that's DC, but our stuff in this country runs on, that was weird, runs on 120 volts AC. So all you have to do is change it from direct current to alternating current with a transformer, and then you could, if you had a big enough BD&E wheel, you could probably power your house indefinitely. So anyway, that's just to show you that the ley lines there's probably some truth to it. Actually, no, there is truth to it, not even probably. Then I want to get into the 33-degree mystery. A lot of things happen on a 33-degree parallel, and it's uncanny. So, okay, let's go here. Okay, so I had a note up here. So where the portals are concerned, I want to show you a couple of videos. Like I said, the first one is a guy that does it. It looks like he's in a hotel room almost, which is really cool because, if it goes awry, then it destroys the hotel room. I don't know. I can't do things like that or think like that. But anyway, so he makes a portal, and you can see Sedona, Arizona through the portal. And I'm always wondering if these guys make these portals, they ever try chucking something through there? I would just like to know what happens if you try to do that. So if you've done it, let me know. I'd really like to know. If you've done it, you'll have to come on the show. You got to tell us all about this stuff, okay? I will go out of my way to try to make it work to where we can get some people on here to for interview purposes. What is going? Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's examine these two videos, and like I said, the one's kind of short, and then the other one's a little long. And remember, they're on DMT. Well, with DMT, obviously we get into that real quick. DMT is a hallucinogen, just like LSD or peyote or magic mushrooms with the psilocybin, and it causes you to. The occult people say it opens up your third eye. Well, what they mean by that is your pineal gland. It looks like a tiny little pine cone that's in your brain. It's not a pine cone color. It just has the shape of a pine cone, and they call it the third eye. And I do believe that this is what Yahweh uses when He gives us dreams and visions, and things like that. He activates our pineal gland. But you know what? He's the only one that's supposed to do that. That's the same. It's no different than drinking a bunch of beer, fall down drunk, or shooting up heroin, as far as I'm concerned. Because you're doing things to change your body in ways that you're not supposed to. I only think that He's supposed to change our bodies in that way, or manipulate things within our bodies to make us see things that aren't there. Well, that aren't in the Matrix, I should say. So yeah, I read Dr. David Strassman. Man, I'm remembering things tonight. He wrote a book called DMT, the Spirit Molecule. You might want to check that out. They did a lot of experimenting with DMT, and but they didn't do it like people do, regular housewives and or husbands and wives here in the United States or around the world. They actually were injecting it, and so it was happening a lot faster than if you ate it, and it was the effects were over with a lot faster They're a lot faster. And but one of the interesting things is when these people ate this, one of the beings that, because they run into beings all over the place when they're high on this stuff, but they run into a lot of reptilians and they run into a lot of gray aliens. And these fallen angels, I'm just going to call them what they are, always have kind of the same message, like, oh, we're coming to help you. We want to help you establish peace on earth. We're going to give you ways to, you'll never be sick again. We'll have formulas for all that, medicines for all that, and the whole 9 yards. And same lie, different package, same lie. So, okay, I'm done talking. Let's see. I got to see where I put these things. Okay, Portal to Arizona. Okay, here we go. Let's watch this one first, okay?
I have an online tone generator set to 528. This is developed by Thomas P. Sinelski. Thank you, Thomas. I notice here it can be used for science experiments. I would say so. Go ahead and play that. So, pure 528 tone there. I'm going to stop it before anything happens. Up here, I also have another tone generator set to 525, and I'm about to show you what will happen with that. Things happen much quicker when you're using pure tones rather than the other stuff I was using on YouTube, which had like sounds mixed in with it. There we go. 528.
Watch this. This is awesome.
And already you can see a much more stable fracture.
There it comes.
Okay. I have to do this quick because this stuff does not last. 525. You can see there's a whole range of tones here, but 525, you're going to hear
Fluctuation.
Fluctuation there.
See it starting up at the top, that puzzle piece?
There we go.
Look at that, folks. Isn't that amazing?
If you don't know where that is, I do. Is in Sedona. And it is a well-known vortex phenomenon. There's several of them there, and you are witnessing a gate, portal, wormhole, stargate, whatever you want to call it, from this bedroom to another state.
Wow.
Using a mixture of two solid tones.
That is so amazing. It makes you want to go out and just do it right now, you know. And someday I may try that. I don't know. There's just some things that are clear you don't mess with, and there's some things that's like, okay, it's to mess with it. But there's some things that are kind of cut the gray area right in half, and that's in that area. I don't know if that's playing around with something that would invite demonic entities to come around and want to stay around. And I got a family to worry about now, so I can't really do stuff like that. But if I were away on a trip or something in a hotel room, I would definitely try it. I need to find out, though. Maybe one of you know, and you can leave it in the remarks in the comments. What that thing was on the bed. Was it I don't get it. Was it a speaker? Was it a lantern? Was it a lava light? It kind of looked like a lava light. But it would be kind of stupid to put one in bed with all those sheets and everything. If you want to start a fire, that's how you do it. So anyway, if you got any ideas about that, let me know. And if you'd want to collaborate on it, maybe we can work on something together. I mean, I could come out here or something where I would be away from the family and stuff, and there'd be less of a chance of it overflowing into family life. So anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting. Okay, so now let's look at another one. It's I'm going to start getting rid of this stuff as I go along, because I just have way too much stuff here. And if you ever used OPS, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They don't give you a whole lot of room to put your stuff. Anyway, so let's look at this one. And this is the one where the guys ingested DMT. I think they ingested. I don't think they injected it. And they see the weird stuff on the wall. Now, you might say, okay, well, they're high. They're seeing weird stuff. But I have never run across it where there was a mass hallucination when people were taking acid or any other kind of hallucinogen, unless they suggested it to one another beforehand. And that might be the case here, but it would take a lot of collaboration in order to for everybody to read the same thing that's on the wall. You're going to see. So anyway, let's go ahead and and look at this and see what maybe you could let me know what you think. Okay, here we go.
I don't know if you guys have heard about this story where it seems like a group of guys who actually did an experiment with lasers, and apparently they found a way in which we can see coding that exists all around us in the universe, and it seems like they started seeing some kind of matrix code that starts appearing once they use the lasers. And at first I thought that it was just a bunch of crazy guys doing some crazy experiments, but it actually seems like this whole stuff is real. They found some solid proof that even Joe Rogan was mind blown. Just take a look at what these guys have been experimenting. Look at that stuff.
When I first saw the phenomenon, I was like, holy shit.
So apparently they're using some sort of lasers.
Like, what is happening?
Am I losing my mind? But then I showed other people, and things kept getting weirder.
Just
Look
for
at
the
that
record,
stuff.
I haven't told him anything. Okay, just tell me what you see.
Oh my God, come on.
So apparently it seems like they're seeing some sort of matrix code that starts appearing on the wall. And I have no idea how this thing works. And apparently it seems like this experiment, what they've done, it actually works. You can try it yourself at home if you have the right set of equipments. And you need to look at what they actually found in this whole experiment, man.
Like, take yourself to that. Like,
Look at this stuff.
I just made a connection that nobody made before, which is a simple connection. The claim is...
So they have like a laser diffuser, and they just attach it and make a cross. They need to make a cross. That's how it works. And
That's interesting.
Once you have the cross symbol,
If you project a diffracted laser on the surface and you smoke DMT, you will see code running in surfaces.
Smoke.
Yes, like in the Matrix.
So there are
so in order to, be able to see this stuff, apparently they smoked some stuff called as the DMTs. And once they did that, it seems like they started seeing
One,
some coding stuff on the
Lost my
wall.
mind. Which is the coolest losing your mind ever in history.
the second option is that
This is the biggest discovery of humankind. If anybody ever asked themselves what it would be like to know you live in the Matrix for sure, well, I know for sure.
I mean, Joe Rogan was fascinated by this whole discovery that these guys have done. And I want you guys to honestly take a look at this stuff,
Ever
man. It's
opened your eyes on
absolutely
DMT? There
insane.
was this video I was watching the other day online where these people, they put them on DMT and then they had lasers.
The red laser effect.
Yes. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I just found out about it a couple of days ago. And-
You?
Wow.
Yeah.
You just found out about it.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I just found out about it a couple of days ago.
Yeah. A friend is putting together a piece on that phenomenon, and he wanted my opinion.
Could you explain it to people what they're experiencing?
Well, I think what happens, and
Okay.
this is just a very cursory assessment of the project, but people smoke DMT, and then they project this infrared laser onto the wall. And if you look very carefully at it, from what I understand, you can see the matrix.
You see code.
What?
In the laser. Yeah.
And that's
Open
for
your
real.
eyes on
That's
DMT.
actually for real. You start seeing Matrix. And these guys, they apparently, kind of went ahead and did this whole experiment. And it seems like they see some sort of a code, which they have mentioned here. It seems like they've written down the kind of codes that they get to see. And the things that they mention, they're seeing some sort of a code which resembles the Hebrew language, the language in which Bible is written in. And this is basically how the code looks like. And that's just crazy stuff, man. Crazy stuff, honestly. Take a look at this documentary that these guys have just
The
done.
laser was revealing numbers and letters running in a pattern.
They're almost like this big here, and it looks like code.
It looked like programming code.
It's definitely saying something, and I just want to take a picture of it and translate it.
Wow.
You see that?
Okay, so yeah, it's not stuck.
No,
It's not because of the light.
no, it's on its own side. Light is just literally revealing it.
And each angle shows you different layers, different ways through it.
I can see through
How
the
was that
wall.
possible?
It's not like a hallucination. It has spatial awareness and permanence. I don't know. Whoa.
The laser
That's
was
crazy,
revealing
dude.
Numbers and
I would love to
letters.
see what this whole stuff is all about, honestly. So by this stage, you're probably thinking, surely this is just a hallucination. Danny says no. I don't know if this is hallucination because every single one of these guys who actually got to see all of the programming that they've just written down, it seems like everything that they've shown, everyone is able to see similar kind of coding. So if it's one person that's hallucinating, why would the other person see the same stuff
Exactly.
as well in the laser? That's crazy because they're actually seeing some sorts of, coding, which looks the same as what we see in the Matrix movie around us, where all of these coding starts appearing around you. That's the kind of similar stuff they see through this laser after they smoke the DMT. So now if Danny is not crazy, is productive, and experts are not immediately denouncing him, what is the story here? Is it legitimate? Let's take a closer look at the experiment that Danny actually does. Now,
Attention to.
let's
is that
take
you're
a look at
looking
this
through
stuff.
the laser, not at the diffraction pattern that falls on the wall. So even if you're sitting 2 or 3 feet away, like we're seeing here, you want to be looking at beyond the light, like you're looking through the window versus looking at the surface of the window. Also notice how wide the diffracted pattern of the laser is on the wall. People
Yeah.
that choose lasers that are produce this thing that just looks like one line, that's not wide enough for you to see anything because
So you gotta have, like, a much wider-
not
okay.
at the surface. So it will be too thin, too narrow of a crack to look through, so to speak. You can come closer like this, and I would recommend to cover one eye so the light doesn't hit your cornea. And then you would be looking from the side. From the side is better because you get a separation of the layers inside. You
Wow.
want to stay on this task for a little bit until you start seeing structures emerge. If you still don't
this-
see anything, you can actually come to the side of the wall, like so, and try and look at the edge of where the light becomes visible from the side. This weirdly makes it even more coherent. One extra
Wow.
emphasis I would give is that you want to stay with it until you start seeing digits. The separation between just seeing the structures and seeing the digits is
Oh, so
total.
this is how
When
it
you still
appears.
see the structure.
Look at that stuff. So in the Matrix movie, you can actually see that all of these numbers and structures, it starts appearing. So these guys, they start seeing the structure and they see through that stuff. They can see beyond what's beyond the wall. How's that even possible? I mean, I don't know if we're just tripping or like, what if we're actually living inside the Matrix? That would actually be insane
When you
if
still
that
see
turns
the
out to be true.
structures, it's possible to imagine that these structures are due to the influence of DMT in your brain while you're looking at a stochastic pattern. But when you see the digits, this hypothesis becomes much less tenable. You will notice some motion. Stay with that motion. The digits are usually much smaller than people expect.
Oh,
So
wow.
keep looking until you see actual digits running. Numerals and what seems like Japanese katakana characters.
Wow,
If you're using
numerals.
lots of water like here, but you can
You start seeing numerals, like the numbers, pretty similar to like the Matrix movie. And they also said that they kind of see the Hebrew language.
You can either look into the glass of water, into the little reflections that you can see inside the glass. And then what you want to do is to mimic the gesture that we do when we go a little bit cross-eyed, which you will notice is the same gesture that your eyes are doing when you're trying to look beyond something. It's also very similar to what we have to do when we're trying to look at a magic eye image. To anybody who's not familiar, the magic eye is a visual illusion.
The image that kind of gives you trippiness.
Two-dimensional paper, and when you do a certain thing with your attention, you can all of a sudden see a three-dimensional image in there. But it's embedded in there. It's designed to do that. And the gesture you do with your eyes, if you're familiar with magic eye, is very similar to what we're trying to do here. So either we're looking at the glass directly and we're trying to expand those little reflective patterns. You will see some glistening portions inside the glass. And what you want to do is to expand them by doing the magic eye gesture.
You have to evolve as you go.
Just with your eyes. And you will see the code running inside very coherently.
He's tripping looking at that stuff.
Is to look at the light that hits the wall after it's being refraction pattern altogether. You want to be looking at the area after it passed the water, which is different than the light that hits the wall directly. Something about the refractive index of water that makes what we see in the laser even more coherent. It's not clear what yet.
It kind of just
We're working
zooms
on
in.
that, but that's the case, and it can help people who are having a hard time seeing it.
Oh my god, dude, that's freaking crazy. That's freaking crazy. I don't know what kind of, experiment these guys are up to. It seems like they might have just cracked the code. It seems like we could be in some sort of matrix. What if this entire world is designed with matrix? What if nothing is real? What if we are living in some sort of a simulation? What if God just created the world using the technology with coding and all that stuff? Because now it seems like, we got some sort of Hebrew language, because it does look like some sort of Hebrew scriptures, apparently. And this is basically how the Bible was written. I mean, those ancient scripts, those things, it kind of looks similar to this one. It kind of looks like a Japanese language, but we don't know what it is. Now, obviously, with more and more research, hopefully we get some more updates on this stuff. And hopefully, some scientist picks up on this stuff and they do like a full-scale research on this thing using like multiple, laser lights in order to like find out on whether or not if we are actually living inside the Matrix. Now, honestly, man, it kind of just blew my minds off, seeing this whole experiment stuff. Every single day, we are just coming across some crazy things happening around the world, and this is just one of those crazy things. And I thought, I should just go ahead and share this with all of my lovely viewers. So honestly, guys, let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about the stuff that you have just witnessed? Do you think that we live in the Matrix? What do you think this whole thing could be? Leave your thoughts in the comments. I would love to read them, reply to as many of you guys as I possibly can. And with that being said, if you guys did go on and enjoy this video, drop a big fat like on this video. It really goes a long way for me as a channel, as a creator, in order to, bring out such videos for you guys every single day. It takes a lot of work. So I would really, really appreciate it if you guys could just show your support. And with that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the day, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Until then, take it easy, fams, and goodbye.
Goodbye, man. What a thing that was, huh? You probably picked up on it because you're smart like me, but because if you're interested in this stuff, you have you can think, and you you use your left brain, and those of us that use our left brain can make deductions and listen to things and understand them in very many different aspects, and in other words, like the scripture, Jesus wept. Okay, well, Jesus cried, but then you start thinking, why did he cry? And how long did he cry? And did he console himself to the point that made him stop? The whole 9 yards. It's you just keep going and going and going and going until you're able to figure most of it out and just and move on to something else. But I thought it was interesting that and correct me if I'm wrong. I know you will. But did he say, or did he not say, that you have to make it in a cross pattern? I think that's what he said, right? I don't know why you would have to make it in that pattern, but it's interesting because right after that he says that they see Hebrew lettering. Is the Matrix code written in Hebrew? Maybe it is. I know that our DNA is something special to Yahweh, and he wrote that, and that's an amazing code. It really is. It just what he had to do to make this universe, just and he did it just with talking, just okay, I want cows and pigs and and everything else, and just it was like he was, I don't know, I don't want to go that far, but talking to an AI engine and having it make the thing for him. But anyway, so biblical Hebrew too. It didn't say just modern day biblical Hebrew. You got to understand that before the Hebrew that we see ever existed, there was Paleo Hebrew, and it was a lot different, and it kind of mimicked animals and stuff like that, and things in nature that they turned into letters, excuse me, and it caused them to, when they saw like a fox or something, they think of that letter, and it caused them to think of different things. Just like I can't think of an example right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Okay, we got to move along because we've been on for an hour and 6 minutes already, and I think a quarter of the way through, I think. Anyway, so what I would like to do is, so I was speaking of portals. Let me show you something real quick, okay? Several years ago, my wife's youngest daughter, I'm a stepfather, I'm not a father, but her youngest daughter and her husband, I think, and some friends were, they lived in Pleasant Hill at the time, and they happened to be out on the porch, and they saw this weird looking light that was kind of flashing, and it would have been in the eastern sky, from what I understand. And so she went in to get the camera, and when she came out and went to take the picture, this thing moved toward them. Okay, not quite all the way, but a great deal of distance toward them, and then it stopped again. Well, if you've ever looked at pictures of UFOs when people have taken, when they have movement, they make all these squiggly lines and everything. It's uncanny, and it's very difficult to understand if those lines mean anything or not. I got a feeling that they do, but until we can start translating that stuff, I don't know how I can explain it or even interpret it. But so what I did is I got, she gave me the picture, and I think they only took one, which is really a shame because they should have taken a whole series. But so she gave it to me, and I said, that looks really weird. And I said to myself, I've always seen those patterns, when these things move. Let me look at that and see if there's something interesting about it. If not, I'll just turn the computer off and join everybody else. This is the time we were all having together. I kind of snuck away to look at this, but anyway, so the first picture I'm going to show you is this thing far away, and this is after it had moved toward them. Okay. This is what the squiggly lines look like basically from where they were standing, okay? So let's see. So this is what it looked like, okay? I don't know if you can see my cursor. I don't think you can. But you can see it on the left-hand side of the picture behind a couple of branches that are growing a little farther on that fir tree. I'm assuming it's a fir. And, if you looked at this, you wouldn't think much of it, and if you didn't blow it up especially. But if you blow it up, let's go ahead and do that. This is what you get. Now, there's a dot. Bear with me, folks, and understand that this is just a speculation, okay? I think that this is a breach in the Matrix right here. This is a breach in the universe or the... like a doorway or portal between two different places, okay? What's at the other end by this light, I have no idea, but I think it's where these things come from, or where they exist when they're not fooling around in our realm. But if you look kind of center to the right a little bit, and you all the way up, and you can see what looks like an alien face. And if you can, I used to have a better picture of this, and I don't know what happened to it, but if you clear that up a little bit, it is clearly a gray alien, a zerticulate, whatever you want to call them. But with the big black eyes and a tiny little nose and the slit for the mouth, that's what's right there. Okay, And if you look to the right of that, it looks like one of these things is on its side, or standing up with his side facing us, and it looks like he's almost driving something, or like he's driving the ship to come through the portal or something. But if you look at him again, he's got the big black eyes and stuff like that. So I got a feeling, and I really do, that this is two gray aliens that are coming through the portal into our existence. Okay, or you might want to say through the spiritual realm, from the spiritual realm and into the physical realm, or you might want to say from the uncorrupted realm to the Matrix. Okay, I always loved this picture. And I credit her all the time for just having the intelligence to go get a camera and take a picture of it. And when I saw this, my life will never be the same. So anyway, let me work on something here. I want to get rid of these pictures. Not for good, of course. I just want to get them out of my list so that this list is kind of confusing right now. Oh boy, I can't wait till the colder weather gets here and all these bugs go away. Okay, there we are. Yeah, we're down to a more reasonable size now, and I can see things right from the top to the bottom. Okay, so where do we want to go with this? We can do the pyramids, we can do the ley lines and megalithic structures, or dark secrets from Mount Hermon. Why don't we get the Mount Hermon out of the way? And you know what? I do have a lot of reading to do, though. So let's examine that. I think I'm going to skip over some stuff, and so I'm not too bombastic. Let's see. So yeah, with ley lines and megaliths, why did ancient civilizations align structures with the stars? Well, we never give them credit for having any intelligence. They were straight from the cavemen to the bronze. The copper, Stone Age, Copper Age, Bronze Age, and Iron Age. It's like, how could there have been such a massive increase in technology in just 1,000 years or 500 years? It doesn't make any sense unless mankind was shown stuff or how to do things, okay? Which is what we're told when we read about the fallen angels, the 120 that came down, the sons of God, the scripture calls them. They came down and gave technology. I call it technology to mankind. Okay, and it was because they gave that technology, man got corrupted, and then the fallen angels were locked up, and their kin, the Nephilim, all killed each other by the sword, and that left corrupt mankind, and versus Noah and his family, and they finished their ark, it rained, and that whole world that existed before is gone forever. That's why, now Mount Hermon I could see because it was such a high mountain, and it said that, I think the scripture says that the water on the earth rose to like 20 or 30 feet above the highest peak, okay? And I don't think we had mountains like Mount Whitney before the flood. I think that happened after all that tectonic activity. And that would make sense. Or if even it happened during the flood, it would make even more sense. Okay, let's see. So why did the ancient civilizations align structures with the stars? Well, I think it was a religious thing. We talked about the Mazzaroth last week, or last show we had together. Yeah, it was last week. And how it was the, not necessarily astrology, but it was the gospel in the stars, actually. And how if you look at it, the way that the stars are laid out, in a story that comes, it starts with a virgin that gives birth, and it goes all the way to the Lion of Judah. Okay? So, anyway, where was I going with that? Sorry, I just lost that thought. Oh, yeah, so we were talking about the intelligence of the people before the flood. Real quick, I got to do this quick. Jonathan Gray. And if anybody knows what happened to Jonathan Gray, let me know. Okay, I've tried to write him and call him and everything, and I get no answer. And he was an older guy, and I'm wondering if maybe he went home to be with the Lord. But if anybody knows anything, please just write me and tell me. It doesn't have to be long. Just say, he's passed away, and I don't even want a date. I just need to know. Because I'd really like to have him on the show again, but if that's impossible, if he's in the heavenly realms. But yeah, so he tells a story about, and he got this news from a guy in Russia who, at the risk of his own life, gave this information to Ralph to Jonathan and other people. And the story goes like this: these guys were in a coal mine deep underground, digging for coal, and they came into this cavity in the coal, and they found a chest in there. Not a big chest, maybe something like this, a little bigger than a laptop, or the laptop computer, maybe that size. And they pulled it out. Well, they pulled this box out, and when they opened it up, finally they saw this thing in it. It was like a laptop, except it was shiny, kind of like our laptops are, but more shiny, and it didn't have any buttons or anything. So this is in Russia, so this is during the Cold War, and yeah, the Russians thought everybody was out to get them and everything else, and so they had to keep this on a kind of like a secret, because if the Soviets ever found out about it, they would have absconded with it, and you'd never see it again or never hear about it again. So they worked on it in a lab somewhere in Russia, and well, they were trying to figure out how to turn it on, and they couldn't. And then all of a sudden, one day, the thing was sitting there and just pops on, and they're wondering how the heck this happened. And it shut off again, and so, but every once in a while, again, it would pop on for a certain amount of time, then shut off. Well, somebody kind of figured it out that the guys downstairs in the harmonics lab, in the sound lab, every time they turned their equipment on to mess around with sound and frequency, it would turn this thing on. This thing was like a what do you call it, an iPad or something like that, and it was in a different language, of course, that nobody knew and didn't exist on Earth, that's for sure, at this time anyway. And so they took examples of the writing and sent it to a decoding lab, which I'm sure the Soviets have a lot of those, because they had to decipher a lot of our stuff, and so that was probably one of the major things that their people did. But anyway, so they started to decipher it, and then got a few words and stuff like that, and found out after they had finished deciphering it, they read the story, and plus they figured out how to turn the thing on so it stayed on longer. So this particular character that came on the machine, the picture, called themselves, what do you call himself? It's one of the sons of Cain. Might have been Tubal or something like that, or Jubal Cain. I don't know. One of those. Anyway, and he started talking about the conditions on Earth at that time. How everything was beautiful, but things were starting to die off and stuff, and they couldn't figure out why. And then it went into this diatribe about how they were having problems with the descendants of Shem. Adam had Shem. His descendants kept the old ways. It said they kept worshiping and following Yahweh and everything, and it explained that they were bothered by this because some of their people will want to leave and join the righteous people. Yeah, so they decided to sabotage Adam's efforts and started introducing their beautiful daughters to the sons of Adam and also Shem, and were corrupting the DNA line. And so anyway, they were having that, and they were talking about the modern technology there. They said that they had vehicles that they could drive around, and they could fly on airplanes and stuff, and so it was very akin to what our society is now. And then when I was listening to this, I was flashing on it, going, "Oh, okay, but Jesus did say, Yeshua did say that when he comes back, it's going to be just like it was in the days of Noah." Well, this guy's describing the days of Noah because he's there. And so I'm like, wow, could be any day. Okay, so you could tell that even back then the Matrix was breached, and the sons of God had introduced things to mankind that mankind wasn't ready to have. And even today, just like the days of Noah, these beings are coming in claiming to be extraterrestrials, and they're giving the anti-gravity technology to scientists and everything else in exchange for the right to abduct us. Okay. I don't recall. I guess these people in government don't realize, that in the military, don't realize they're our servants and we're not theirs. Anyway, where's I going with that? So I think it was just to prove that the technology, they weren't just some dumb cavemen that all of a sudden got smart. You know, Adam was born with a perfect intellect. He had to be, because he had nobody there to teach him. So God gave him a perfect intellect, and the same with Eve, and then we sit here on Opposing the Matrix talking about this. So, so we did the man-made portals, and look at Julie, my stepdaughter's pictures, and yeah, we'll talk about that in a little while. We're going to ley lines at 33 degrees. Okay, I said I was going to read here. That's right. So the 33rd degree ley line phenomena. Mount Hermon, towering at the crossroads of Israel, Lebanon, and Syria, has long been woven into history, legend, and even speculation. Here are some of the most intriguing and strange occurrences tied to the storied peak. UFO sightings, of course. Visitors on Mount Hermon captured footage of a glowing object in the sky, described as slowly moving and hovering near the cable car area at around 2 kilometers altitude. The family who filmed it couldn't explain the phenomena, and local children didn't doubt that it was a UFO. I guess they'd seen it before, and maybe their parents said, yes, those are UFOs. And that came from a document called Latest UFO Sightings. Okay, so let's see. Other reports in the Wilder area have ascribed dramatic swirling lights and cone-shaped beams, some likened to meteor activity, others left unexplained. That's from southoftheheart.org. Again, about Mount Hermon. The Watchers and the Book of Enoch. Okay, perhaps the most legendary occurrence, according to the Book of Enoch, Mount Hermon is the ancient site where 200 Watcher angels, led by Semyaza, descended to Earth. They made a pact on the summit, right at the top. They called it Mount Hermon because they had sworn and bound themselves by mutual curses upon it. It says mutual imprecations in Enoch. Let's see, that was from Ancient Worlds, God's Kingdom, the Book of Enoch, and Watchers, and Wikipedia. Okay. These Watchers shared forbidden knowledge, metallurgy, sorcery, cosmetics, etc. Okay. Well, wait a minute. What we got here? Oh, well, somebody's already commenting on our article, our show. Let's see. Forbidden knowledge, metallurgy. Okay, and fathered the Nephilim, the giants, which ultimately led to moral decay and divine judgment. That was from Wikipedia, also from the Book of Enoch, also from the History of Israel, Jeffrey H. King's blog. Okay. A stone stele found at the summit temple of Qasar Antar. That's a cool name, is Qasar Antar. Really musical. Bears a Greek inscription and says, according to the command of the greatest and holy God, those who take an oath proceed from here. This has been linked to the oaths taken by the Watchers. Yeah, of course. And that comes from Wikipedia, Jeffrey H. King's blog, on Reddit, and it says one user summarized, in the apocryphal Book of Enoch, Mount Hermon is the place where the Watcher class of fallen angels, descended to earth. They swear upon the mountain that they would take wives and take mutual imprecations for their sin. Let's see. A third point here. Epic literature and myth. The Epic of Gilgamesh, Mount Hermon is mentioned in a mythic context. After Gilgamesh defeated Humbaba, the mountain and Lebanon split suggests the supernatural power tied to the landscape. Okay, some Christian theories posit that Mount Hermon, not Mount Tabor, was the actual site of the transfiguration of Jesus, arguing its proximity to Caesarea Philippi and its high mountain context makes it plausible. I don't believe that, but I guess people are free to if they want to. Okay, symbolism, conspiracy, and modern law. Mount Hermon often appears in modern symbolic and conspiratorial narratives, as we shall see. Some point to its latitude, or parallel 33, significance in occult traditions combining biblical numerology and modern symbolism. And, somebody got that from Reddit. Okay, it's occasionally depicted as a symbolic gateway or sacred forbidden place, sometimes tied to the secret societies, end times, and prophecy. And they got that from Reddit, summary table, phenomena, and description. Okay. Let's see. UFO sightings documented glowing object 2012, spinning light phenomena. The Watchers, and Enoch, legendary descent of angels, oath on the mountain summit, imparting forbidden lore. Okay. Mythic references, Gilgamesh epic, splitting transfiguration debates. Modern symbolism, occult numerology, conspiracy, and narratives. Bottom line, Mount Hermon is a great magnet for mystical and mythological and modern esoteric stories. Most are symbolic or allegorical, like those from the Book of Enoch. I don't think so. Enoch is pretty right on and pretty much a history lesson. But occasional reports like a 2012 UFO sighting add a dash to the mystery that keeps the fascination alive. Let's see. And I think that they were going to, the source I was trying to find wanted to go even deeper. Okay. I'm going to skip by that. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to skip by that. ResearchGate. Gates of Hades at the foot. Okay. Gates of Hades at the foot. Okay, let's look at this here. Pan's Cave. Now, if you remember who Pan was, Pan was also known as, I think he was also Mercury. One was with the Greeks, one was with the Romans. Okay, right at Hermon's base is the Yawning Grotto of Pan, with shrines and niches. Ancient writers and modern archaeologists describe sacrifices in the spring. In popular Christian interpretation, this is the backdrop of Jesus' Gates of Hades line. Either way, it's a liminal, underworld-flavored site or cult site attached to the mountain. So they've taken that and pretty well perverted it, huh? Megaliths in Giant Country. Rujem El Hiri, or Gilgal, Rephaim, a multi-ring magnetic wheel on the Golan Plateau south of Hermon. Archaeology dates it to the early Bronze Age. Later folklore tagged it to the Rephaim, or the giants. Nearby, the huge dolom fields, or basaltic tombs, blanketed the region. One dolmen made waves for its tradition, for its rare and carved star-like motif. Sorry, folks, I told you I get this floater that gets in my way. Nearby, huge dolmen fields. Okay, I read that already. One dolmen. See, I got that already too. Okay, the biblical Ugaric Rephaim tradition does center heavily on the Bashan Hermon country, even if the giant angle is literally mythic rather than osteological. It's not mythic. Og of Bashan was a real person. He's in history books. And the other one, I can't remember his name. Real people, not myths. Goodness, that really pisses me off when they put conjecture like that. They tell you the story like they believe it, and then all of a sudden they tell you, oh, it's just a myth. No, don't think about it, it's just a myth. Okay, see, these are all sources. Okay, the 33rd parallel myth. You'll see claims that Hermon sits at 33.33 north. Q numerology / Mason riffs. Actually, the summit coordinates are 33.416 north and 35.857 east. That is on the 33rd parallel zone, but not the tidy 33.33 you'll see in memes. Fun story, but off a decimal. And that's from these two sources here. Okay, Hermon Hotel. Oh, there you go. I stayed at the Hermon Hotel. Home of the fallen angel. Okay, Hermon Hotel on the crest sits the highest permanently manned UN position on Earth, an odd, almost surreal effect for a biblical mountain with ski lifts below. Hermon also Ho. Well, anyway, Transfigurer candidate scholars place the gospel transfiguration on Hermon. I don't believe that. Others say Tabor. The Bible has others. It says Tabor. It's not strange, but it adds to the mountain's charged reputation. You mean lies? Gilgamesh echoes. A few discussions, note translations were Lebanon and Hermon. Figure the cedar forest episode another way. The peaks show up at mythic edges. Treat cautiously, in other words. Be careful before you're saying it's fact. Okay. Let's see. List oddities, strange places, and strange events associated with 33-degree parallel north. Okay. All right, here we go. I told you 33 parallel north is a very strange place, folks. Very strange. I think some of the murder capitals of the world are on that parallel, and it just so happens to go through Mount Hermon, through Baghdad, Iraq. If you head the other way, it hits the United States. South Carolina figures heavily into the occult. Then it goes over to Texas. There's a place called Hot Springs, Texas, that I can't remember what the big deal about that was, but it's not too far from Dallas, actually. Then you keep going and you hit Roswell, New Mexico, okay, where the UFO crash was, and then you keep going there. From there, there's a place that's close to there called Baghdad, Arizona. Jim Wilhelmsen and another fellow made a trip out there. Actually, a couple more fellows, I think. Made a trip out there a few years ago trying to find the fortress of Ur. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. A demonic fortress, basically, and didn't really find anything per se, but there were powers that were not happy with their trip and did mess it up as much as they could. Okay, so ancient and sacred sites, Mount Hermon, Lebanon, Syria, and Israel. The summit is 33.4 north, ancient site of oath-taking, or Kasar Atar, Stele, Pan's Cave, and biblical Enoic lore about the fallen angels. Okay, that's where that comes from. Babylon is on the 33 degree, like I said. The ruins of ancient Babylon are just off the 33rd parallel. Often tied to occult symbolism because of its biblical notoriety, and rightly so. Phoenix, it's supposed to say Arizona, I don't know, lies almost exactly on 33 degree north. Many occult groups, for example Freemasonry, point out Phoenix's placement due to the 33rd Masonic degree symbolism. That's right. Sorry, folks, I'm getting a little bleary-eyed here. With the Masonic Rite, there's 2 degrees, 32nd and 33, and actually the 33rd is the highest they can go. But in those degrees, you finally find out what Mormonism. Well, no same difference, but you finally find out what the Masonic whole thing Masonic is all about, and it's the worship of Lucifer or Satan. And remember, Lucifer is a name in the Catholic Bible, not in ours, and the name of the devil or Satan when he was in heaven was Halal, H-A-L-A-L. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against Halal and his emissaries. That's one of my truths that I say. Okay, occult Masonic symbolism, Scottish Rite, 33rd degree. Freemason highest honorary degree is 33rd degree. Why did I just tell you that when it was right here? Leading conspiracy researchers to think global 33 degree north landmarks with elite influences. Yes, it does. Charleston, South Carolina, headquarters of the Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction of... is that a Southern jurisdiction is at 33 degrees north. Hold on, I gotta... that's better. Atomic and military sites. The Trinity site, where they exploded the first atomic bomb. Location of the first nuclear bomb detonation, July 16, 1945, is near the 33-degree parallel. And so is Nagasaki, Japan, where they dropped the second bomb. That's real interesting, isn't it? Of all the cities in Japan to pick, there had to be a reason. Okay. The second atomic bombing target in World War II, also near 33 degrees. I just said that. Roswell, New Mexico, I told you that. Slightly north of the 33-degree parallel. UFO lore often links these coordinates to ley lines and alien phenomena. That's a weird place. You want to experience weirdness? If they have it next year, go to Roswell on the July 4th week or weekend, whatever it falls on. And just spend 3 or 4 days down. You are going to see the weirdest things you've ever seen. In the way of people acting stupid, maybe is the best way to put it. Definitely deceived. Okay. Let's see. Mystical or paranormal hotspots. Sedona, Arizona. Remember the guy was showing us the vortex? Yeah, Sedona's a real New Age mecca. They love Sedona. It supposedly has a lot of energy there. That's what the guy told me. There's a lot of energy in Sedona. That's why we go there. Okay. Let's see. Historical mysteries and violence. Dallas, Texas, so where JFK was assassinated. It lies near the 33rd parallel, fueling theories about symbolic geography and major historical events. Basra, Iraq. Center of ancient Sumerian civilization and later Gulf War conflicts, also near 33 North. Baghdad's location, often cited in esoteric circles as being influenced by sacred geometry, right near the 33-degree north line. Geographic and esoteric claims. Ley line theories, let's see. Some geomancy and esoteric traditions claim that the 33-degree north parallel is part of an energy belt encircling the Earth, aligning with sacred and catastrophic sites. Okay, so I have on here. We should play the video about. I guess about the ley lines. Okay, so why don't we do that? Oh my goodness, we're going on, where are we here? An hour and 39 minutes. We got to get cracking here. All right, understanding ley lines. That's where I want to go, right here, okay? You ready, folks? Here we go.
1921, Blackwoodine, England. Alfred Watkins sits atop a hill studying a map when he realizes these energy lines he's been discovering connect and follow to ancient sites around the world. His findings lead us to the mysteries of Earth's energy via the concept of ley lines, where ancient secrets meet modern science. Is there really energy all around you, even below your feet?
Yes.
Decode the mysteries shrouding these ancient energy pathways that traverse the globe. Watkins, a British photographer and amateur archaeologist, proposed the idea of these energy lines in the early 1920s. He observed that numerous ancient sites, like the widely recognized Stonehenge, contained lines hidden underneath the ground, creating passageways that cut through the landscape. Ever since, the theory has expanded to the belief in magical energy highways connecting global marvels. Some accounts state that the most well-known ley lines pass through ancient and secret locations. From Stonehenge in England to the Great Pyramids of Egypt, the stunning heights of Machu Picchu in Peru, and ancient temples throughout Bali and Asia, they weave together like an ethereal tapestry. Notably, the ley line connecting the route from Stonehenge to the Great Pyramid passes through several noteworthy locations. One of them is Lake Titicaca, located high in the Andes between Bolivia and Peru, and considered the Incas' birthplace. The ley line extends north to Tenochtitlan, or Mexico City, the Aztec civilization's ancient capital. It's interesting to think about if these ancient cultures were aware of these energy lines and purposefully built their cities and monuments along them. In England, other notable locations along ley lines include Avebury, a Neolithic henge monument containing 3 stone circles, and the ancient site of Glastonbury Tor with its medieval tower. Both of these sites are enveloped in mystery and local legends, adding further intrigue to this invisible lattice of energy. Some even suggest that these lines may affect everything from human awareness to bird migration. A hidden network of energy lines spanning the entire planet is an intriguing idea for people with mystical beliefs, even though skeptics could write it off as chance or our human tendency to see patterns. Could our ancestors, the architects of these breathtaking locations, kept a long-lost secret? Picture a world where hidden bonds link the ancient wonders and hold the keys to Earth's puzzles. Join us as we delve into the mystery of ley lines, exploring these unseen connections that may just link us all together. Many different cultures worldwide have their own unique interpretations of these enigmatic parallel lines. From each continent and throughout millennia, ley lines have piqued curiosity and awareness. They have been viewed through a variety of cultural lenses, each of which has contributed its own interpretation and importance. Let's embark on a global journey to comprehend the diverse cultural viewpoints on ley lines. We begin in Australia, the land down under, where we learn about the Aboriginal people and their belief in song lines, their version of ley lines. These are pathways that cut through the land or the sky, following the course that the local creator beings took. The Aboriginals sing these routes, each song depicting a unique landscape, thus creating a complex auditory map of their environment. We then take flight to ancient China, where ley lines are known as dragon paths. These were seen by the Chinese as Mother Earth's vitality channels, shaping everything from architectural designs to burial grounds. Feng Shui, the age-old art of aligning with the surrounding environment, was fundamentally based on comprehending these dragon paths. Our voyage then takes us to the vibrant green terrains of Celtic lands, where ley lines are depicted as fairy paths. These pathways were believed to be unseen routes traversed by fairies and spirits, and they held a sacred importance in Celtic mythology. It was considered an ill fate to construct anything that blocked these paths, a belief that still prevails in some countryside areas of Ireland. Across the pond, we learn about ley lines in the United Kingdom, known as Old Straight Tracks. These were ancient lines marked by the placement of megalithic structures, hilltops, and other geographical markers. They were believed to be paths of spiritual energy that connected important landmarks. In fact, many sacred sites, like the Stonehenge and the Rollright Stones, are thought to be connected through these ley lines. These interpretations, while varying in their specifics, share a universal belief in an invisible network of energy lines crisscrossing the planet. These lines, whether perceived as song lines, dragon paths, fairy paths, or old straight tracks, are believed to link significant landmarks, forging patterns and routes of spiritual, historical, and geographical significance. From every corner of the world, these lines have whispered their tales, entwining us in a shared web of mysticism. Next, we'll explore the intriguing connection between these ley lines and revolutionary physicist Nikola Tesla. Was famed inventor Nikola Tesla aware of the unique alignments of the Egyptian pyramids and their connection to ley lines?
Yes.
Tesla's fascination with the pyramids, renowned for their precision and alignment with celestial bodies, suggests a potential association with these unseen pathways that link ancient sites worldwide. Could Tesla's admiration for the pyramids have been influenced by their location on powerful ley lines? Although there's no substantial evidence, Tesla seemed to either know or perhaps learned of this knowledge through a contact or ancient text. Following this intriguing theory, we delve into Tesla's work in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and Wardenclyffe, New York. Both these places, noteworthy for Tesla's revolutionary experiments, sit on ley lines. In Colorado Springs, Tesla focused his efforts on deciphering and manipulating electricity, the setting for his iconic laboratory. This location is positioned directly over a significant ley line. The story at Wardenclyffe, New York is familiar. This is the site where Tesla started his bold ambition to build a wireless transmission tower, which, however, never got fulfilled. Yet, just like Colorado Springs, Wardenclyffe is located on a ley line, further reinforcing a potential connection between Tesla and these connecting geographical alignments. This brings us to question, was Tesla's choice of these sites a mere coincidence, or had he more time been able to plug into these ley line connections how he intended? The mystery remains unsolved, but the questions themselves fuel our curiosity and magnify our respect for Tesla's genius.
Yep.
It's intriguing to consider how Tesla, to human innovation, may have been more intertwined with these mystic lines than we could have ever imagined back then. As we venture further in our quest to decipher the elusive ley lines, our path intertwines with two influential figures, Tony Wedd and Paul Devereux. In 1961, Wedd published a book called Skyways and Landmarks, stating that Watkins leys were both authentic and functioned as markers to direct extraterrestrial spaceships that were coming to Earth. Upon contrasting Watkins' theories with those of French ufologist Aimé Michel, who contended that orthotenies are lines that extraterrestrial spacecraft might have traveled, Wedd proposed that either the spacecraft were tracking ancient landmarks or they were tracking a magnetic current that was traversing the Earth. Adding to this, a ley line hunting club was created in 1962. Many ley line hunters utilize esoteric practices like dowsing and numerology to detect these mystical paths. The dowsing method, beyond locating water and gems, is believed to tap into the Earth's energy and reveal magnetic current. On the other side of this chapter, we have Devereux, a highly esteemed researcher and author renowned for his work in archaeology, anthropology, and research on consciousness. Devereux has brought new insights into the knowledge of ley lines with his distinctive blend of scientific and spiritual viewpoints. He proposes that these lines may have functioned as paths for our ancestors' ceremonial or ritualistic purposes as well. His fascination with the unanswered mysteries of Earth motivated him to delve into the world of ley lines, where his contributions and daring theories are significant. Devereux pioneered the Dragon Project in 1977, an initiative aimed at unraveling the mysteries of ancient sites and their possible connection to ley lines, leveraging a blend of scientific techniques and intuitive methods. The Dragon Project was dedicated to exploring the correlation between ancient sites, ley lines, and their potential impact on human psychology and consciousness. Their relentless exploration and collective expertise have brought us a step closer to demystifying the nature of these ancient lines. As we dive deeper into Scene 4, we accompany thoughts that lead us into journeys into the mystical. Many UFOs and alien sightings are reported on ley lines. Could these lines be highways or markers for extraterrestrial visitors? This tantalizing question marks the beginning of our journey into the connection between ley lines and unidentified flying objects, or UFOs. Let's dive into the theory that UFOs may use ley lines as navigational aids. Imagine this. You're an alien visitor, zipping around in the vast cosmic ocean. How do you find your way to the exact location you want to visit? You could use stars and other celestial bodies, but what if there's a simpler Earth-centric method? What if you could use the magnetic energy lines of the Earth itself, a cosmic GPS? This is where ley lines come in. Some proponents of this theory suggest that UFOs, much like the ancient mariners of Earth, navigate using these invisible lines. These energy lines crisscross the globe, connecting ancient sites and natural wonders. They work helping guide extraterrestrial visitors to their destinations. Now let's shift our gaze to the ancient ones and their understanding of these lines. There's a belief that ancient civilizations, from the Egyptians to the Mayans, were aware of these energy lines and marked them with stones and monuments. These markers served as signposts, not just for their own people, but also for visitors from the stars. Think about it. The pyramids of Giza, Stonehenge, Machu Picchu, all sitting on ley lines and all, coincidentally or not, associated with UFO sightings. Could it be that our ancestors were not just advanced architects, but also cosmic traffic controllers, guiding UFOs to safe landing zones using the energy lines and their markers? As we delve deeper into the mysteries of ley lines, we find ourselves standing at the intersection of science, history, and the paranormal. The lines on the map lead us to new questions, new theories, and perhaps new truths. From the depths of the Earth to the farthest reaches of the cosmos, ley lines might be part of something bigger bridging our worlds. And who knows, perhaps we're not as alone as we think. Traditional shamans also played a part in ley lines working in the countryside. Shamans discovered that some locations had more intrinsic power than others, both generally and for particular tasks like healing or communicating with other dimensions of reality. These energies were especially strong because of the locations where the ley lines started and traveled through. To prevent becoming overwhelmed, shamans who tapped into them needed to be conscious of both their conscious and shadow identities. Skeptics question their existence, arguing that the alignments of ancient sites are merely coincidental. Proponents, however, see a purposeful design in these alignments, suggesting they may be part of a worldwide energy grid. This theory proposes that the Earth itself is crisscrossed by lines of magnetic force, with ancient sites acting as conduits for this energy. But the magic of ley lines extends beyond mere geography or physics. They're steeped in spiritual significance. Many believe that these invisible pathways carry a powerful energy that can influence one's consciousness. Some even go as far as to suggest that ley lines serve as spiritual highways, guiding the journey of souls between the physical and astral planes. In many cultures, these lines are revered and treated with great respect. They're seen as sacred paths, with ceremonies and rituals often performed at their intersections. These practices, rooted in ancient traditions, add a layer of mysticism to the scientific debate. And then there's the enchanting allure of the unknown. Despite all the research and exploration, the true nature of ley lines remains elusive. Are they mere figments of our collective imagination? What part will they play in our future? Could we learn to tap into its energy and harness power from a more natural source? Do we already use its energy in modern technology? As we grapple with these questions, the enigma of ley lines only deepens. They continue to captivate our curiosity, drawing us into a web of mystery and intrigue. For some people, perhaps it's this unending quest for answers, this yearning to unravel the unknown, that truly encapsulates the magic of ley lines. In the realm of the unknown, ley lines continue to fascinate, bewitch, and beckon us towards the mysteries they hold. Are you intrigued by the enigma of ley lines? Perhaps you have a theory or a thought that could shed light on these ancient sites. Leave a comment with your thoughts. Maybe you've considered how Tesla's work relates to these energy lines, or wondered the connection between ley lines and UFOs. Share your thoughts and start a conversation. Stir the pot of knowledge. Your input is invaluable in this grand exploration of the unknown. If you found this video engaging and informative, why not give it a thumbs up? Share it with your friends and fellow mystery seekers. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Join us on this journey of discovery, and let's continue to unravel the mysteries of our world together here on Universe Unraveled.
Boy, long goodbyes, huh? Jeez. A lot of interesting stuff in there. Real quick. Let's see. well, this kind of leads to other things. But anyway, yeah, if you know anything about motors, okay, what you have is electromagnetics. When you're talking about it, you have a stator, which is usually the outside round part, and then you have an armature that goes in. That armature spins inside the stator, and the way it works is that, anyway, that's how electricity is produced, AC and DC. So especially DC, if, you know, the car is the easiest way to try to see that and to experience it. But so, well, the Earth is spinning. It's got an iron core, right? It's spinning, and it's got electrical charges running on the outside of it in the ley lines. So sure, I could see it being like a gigantic transformer or alternator or generator. That's a good word. So I got no problem with that. But he was talking about, real quick, I got to do this stuff real quick because I don't want to go 2 hours. I don't want to go past 2 hours. Anyway, I did a study a number of years ago, actually. I was a member of MUFON. I was one of their field investigators, and they used to send us, every month, they would send us the MUFON newsletter. And in one of the last newsletters that I got, it had a graph and some explanations about when UFO activity had peaked. And a lot of times they call that a flap, okay? I don't know why it's called the UFO flap. And it'll usually be in a specific area, and it'll be a number of sightings, not just one, but a number of sightings, or maybe just one with a whole bunch of sightings on the same day, okay? So it could be a series of days with one sighting, or two or three or four, or it could be a series of sightings in one day. I mean, talk about the whole day. If you read anything about the Stevensville Lights or Gulf Breeze down in Florida, those were times when we had very large flaps. But so I would like to propose not just lay lines, but lay times and lay places. Okay, and that could kind of correlate with the ley lines, but the last one. But the study that I did it's real simple. I really got into it when I did it too. Is I took the days or the years when it said they had flaps, and I wanted to see if anything interesting happened in those years. And I started to look at it, and I really started to get spooked. Okay, and one of the years I think was like 1898, and I was like, okay, did anything significant happen? Now, I'm talking about spiritual things. If something spiritual happened that was very important, or, well, you know what I mean, very important. It was a very important day when there was a revival or an aliyah in Israel. But anyway, and so I started to see a pattern. Like it was 1898. There was a flap, and you're going, okay, well, what the heck happened in 1898? And I was like, yeah, I asked the same thing. But I seem to remember something that happened. Actually, two things that happened. Back around that time, there was a man who developed, I don't know how he did it, but he developed smokeless gunpowder. Back before then, they had TNT, your regular gunpowder. But this is smokeless powder. And what it did is it enabled the British to make explosives at a much cheaper rate than they were when they had to depend on getting those ingredients from other places. And it was common stuff that they were using, so it made it much easier. So because of that, they recognized this guy because he actually helped them to win the war. Because at the time they were getting kind of low on powder. And they didn't know what they were going to do. So anyway, this guy invents smokeless powder and tells them how to do it. It's real easy, and it's just things at home you can use. And so they did that. And because of that, the British brought forth a document called the Balfour Declaration, which basically, for the first time in 2,000 years, said that the Jews should have a place to live of their own. You know, not living in exile around the world, but a place of their own. And they were pointing towards Israel because at the time the British had a mandate. Yeah, they had a mandate. Wait a minute, when did that happen? That was after World War One, but after World War One, they had a mandate in Palestine. They called it, which is a really bad name because it was the Roman name for Philistine. So, if you know anything about Israel's history, you don't want that land being called Philistia. But I digress. So they so you keep going on in the years, and I'm going to miss a lot of them. Okay, but you go into the like the 40s, like 1942, there was a flap. The flap was in the United States, of course, but and around the world they do, I think. But yeah, so anyway, that was the year that Hitler decided to start killing the Jews. Gas chambers and everything else. There was a flap. Now in 1945, it was 1945. That practice was brought to an end. It was before the end of the war. I don't know for what reason that they brought the killing in the ovens to an end, but there was another flap that year. Okay, now we move forward to 1947, and of course we know about the Roswell crash in 1947. That was a whole deal all in its own. And but what happened in 1947? The UN voted on the Balfour Declaration, which had been expanded to a resolution, and a UN resolution, basically to give a homeland to the Jews, and they voted for it. But there was a UFO flap at that time too. So then you go 1948, where there was another flap. That was when Israel became its own entity, a state, a nation. Let's see, let's bump up to, I think it was 1953. There was a conflict over in the Suez area, and Israel joined that conflict on the side of the the French and British, and I can't remember. There was a conflict with the Suez Canal, and the PLO, or what would later become the PLO, wanted to shut it down and everything else, and some nations joined together along with Israel, and they changed that plan for good, which was good. Let's see, 53, and as you go along, let's see, the next big one was 1967. That was the war, the sneak attack on Israel, and the war that occurred, and that enabled them to get a lot more land, absorb a lot more land, because the Arabs were just fleeing in numbers and going to other countries and leaving. So, and then let's see, that was 1967, and that was the year also that Israel acquired Jerusalem. They actually took Jerusalem in a battle, and so again, UFO flaps. 1973, the Yom Kippur Wall, there were UFO flaps. Thing being that the Jews are God's timetable. Okay, everything revolves around Israel and the Jewish people, and I know there are those who will disagree with me, but hey, the evidence is as clear as the nose on your, plain as the nose on your face. So it's, you can argue with that, but why argue about the nose on your face? You know, it's anyway. So let's see, and it goes on and on. Anyway, this also works when there's revivals in Christendom. Gulf Breeze, when that happened with the UFO flap, there was also a revival going on right across the bay. Okay, in Florida. Toronto, the Toronto blessing. I don't know how so much these are genuine movements of the Holy Spirit, because a lot of strange things happen during these times. But again, there was a UFO flap, and had a friend, still a friend, Dale. He lives in Circleville, Ohio, and the year that they built and opened a college, a Christian college there was a UFO flap. Well, why? Because a lot of people were going to learn about the Lord at those places, and they were going to be taught to go out and teach other people about such things. Well, anyway, so there you have it. So there's lay places and lay times, as aside from lay lines. So it's interesting how Yahweh just works things out, isn't it? Okay, so let's see. Let's go into megalithic structures. I think that's only 3 minutes in the way of a video, and then we have don't know if we watched The Dark Secrets of Mount Hermon. I don't think we need to watch that. We've spent enough time in that subject. And then let's see. We didn't do the pyramids yet. We got to go into that. So let's do the megalithic structures real quick. It's just going to explain how these things always pop up on ley lines. Here we go.
Have you ever wondered if the placement of ancient megalithic structures could reveal a hidden pattern, a secret blueprint of our Earth's energy? Could it be possible that these structures are not randomly scattered, but intentionally placed on what some call ley lines? Ley lines, a term coined by Alfred Watkins in the early 20th century, refer to hypothetical alignments of numerous places of geographical interest, such as ancient monuments and megaliths. He proposed that these lines ran in straight paths across the landscape and connected these ancient sites. Megalithic structures, on the other hand, are large stones used in various types of Neolithic and early Bronze Age monuments. From the imposing Stonehenge in England to the mysterious Moai statues of Easter Island, they have long fascinated historians and archaeologists alike. But what if these structures served a purpose beyond their cultural and ritualistic significance? What if they also served as markers on these ley lines? It's a belief held by many that these lines crisscross the globe, forming a grid of mystical energy that our ancestors were somehow aware of. This theory suggests that these ancient civilizations had knowledge of Earth's magnetic field and utilized it for their spiritual and practical needs. Many who subscribe to this theory point to the uncanny alignment of megalithic structures across different continents. From the pyramids of Giza in Egypt, to the ancient city of Teotihuacan in Mexico, to the sacred sites of Angkor in Cambodia, these structures seem to follow a pattern, a grid that spans the globe. But the question remains, if these ley lines exist, how were our ancestors able to detect them? Some speculate that they were more in tune with the Earth's energies. Others suggest they had advanced knowledge of mathematics and astronomy. And what of the potential undiscovered megalithic structures? Could there be ancient monuments hidden from sight, waiting to be discovered along these supposed ley lines? If we follow the patterns, can we predict where these new structures could be found? The theory of ley lines and their connection to megalithic structures is a captivating one. It challenges our understanding of our ancestors and their knowledge of the world. It makes us question if there's more to these ancient sites than just stone and history. To summarize, we've delved into the mystery of megalithic structures and ley lines. We've explored the possibility that our ancestors were more in tune with the Earth's energies, and that these structures might not be randomly placed, but strategically located along these lines. We've also pondered the potential of undiscovered structures that could still be waiting to be found. Remember, the world is full of mysteries waiting to be unraveled, so keep questioning, keep exploring, and who knows, you might just stumble upon a hidden piece of our Earth's intricate puzzle.
Very good. Very, very good. See, there's got to be something to it. And I believe there is. And I don't think it's unscriptural to be looking into these things, because if it's the way the world is, it's the way it was created. And perhaps, I keep coming up with these stupid stories. Sometimes I wish no, never mind. But you know that when Tesla died, maybe you don't know. When Tesla died, a bunch of his notes were put together. They were actually stolen from his estate, little estate that he had, and they were put together and brought to a man named John Trump, which is Donald Trump's uncle. He was a physicist and a very smart man, and they asked I think it was the FBI, they asked him, hey, go through this stuff and tell if there's anything important, because there was an office back then called the Office of Enemy Technology, I think it was called. And they just wanted to know if he was involved in anything that was, below, not quite up to the mustard, So anyway, he went through it, and he told them, it's all junk, it's all just notes and everything else, and not worth the paper it's written down on. But my understanding is that they never asked for this stuff back, and he kept it. And now we have, as our president the second time, Donald John Trump, as a matter of fact, who has been telling us that we're going to have all different kinds of new technology. We're going to have new kinds of power. And I can only assume that was from the notes that he had, his uncle had gotten from Tesla, and that he's been spending all this time making sure that this stuff is tried and true, so that when he presents it to the world would be a better place, definitely. Okay, so we got to move right along here. Let's get rid of this. We're doing a good job, actually. Okay, so we only got 2 more videos to watch. One is Under the Pyramids and the Mystery of the Great Pyramid. Let's see, Under the Pyramids is 6 minutes long, almost 7. And the other one's 4 minutes long. So let's get started. It's about 11 minutes, right? And let's do this thing, and we can just actually get through what we were going to do tonight. Here we go. Nope, that's the wrong one. Boy, am I glad I didn't choose that. Okay.
I am struggling to express in words just how significant of a discovery this is. What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative-shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who was studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga, called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography. So this was used to explore the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far. Utilizing high-resolution radar images from Capella Space and Umbra, which are 2 private companies that specialize in satellite-based synthetic aperture radar imaging. This has allowed researchers to create a 3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface, below ground level. Radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid. There are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows the dynastic Egyptian model out of the water.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures. And it doesn't even end there. The radar analysis extends beneath the entire Giza Plateau, revealing interconnected structures beneath not only the Great Pyramid of Giza, but also those of Khufu and Menkaure. The subsurface network reaches down to a staggering depth of approximately 2 kilometers. 2 kilometers. This is not possible, given the standard historical and archaeological narrative given to us about ancient Egypt. Now, I'm hearing that there is more to come. There is a 4-hour presentation that's going to be released by the research team. This is what I'm hearing. That's going to go into every detail of their findings. This has essentially been a strategic release of incredible data ahead of time to get people interested. And I am more interested in this than basically anything else right now, because this is by far the most provocative piece of evidence for not only a potential technological explanation for the purpose of the Giza complex, but it also provides the most extraordinary evidence for a pre-flood era civilization that was flourishing in a way that we can scarcely comprehend. It's also possible that this spiraling cylindrical series of structures are staircases, and I can't help but think of the channeled writings of Thoth the Atlantean, you know, the Emerald Tablets, speaking of a lost hall of records, a sacred hall of knowledge below the Giza Plateau, the halls of Amenti. Could this be the lost hall of records from the pre-flood era? Now, obviously, this discovery is extremely controversial. It runs as a complete contradiction of the established narratives and status quo in mainstream academia on these issues. This will cause big waves throughout the academic and the wider world if they can fully evidence these findings. But the results so far seem pretty clear. There is obviously significant structural engineering taking place deep below the pyramids and the Giza Plateau in general. Has this changed your mind on the pyramids? Has this strengthened your position on what they might have been? Has this new discovery given you any new ideas about what the implications are? Let me know in the comment section below, and honestly, everyone, share this far and wide. This is such interesting stuff. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll just have to see where this goes, because rest assured, I'll be keeping a very close eye on any coming announcements and updates on this issue. This plays directly into one of my main interests, which is, of course, prehistorical civilizational implications. What was going on before the global cataclysm? Well, I think moments like this could shed light on that question. What a time to be alive.
You're a kid. Okay, I wanted to cut that a little short. That singing bothers me, but we were low on time anyway. Yeah, pretty interesting, huh? I've always been of the opinion that the pyramids are left over from the antediluvian world, and that the ancients knew how to use ley lines and how they were able to use that to, well, you see the thing, there's been little things in the pyramid that show, you know, the hieroglyphs. One of them has a guy holding what looks like a gigantic light bulb. It's like, it's really the only thing it could be, you know. Anyway, very interesting stuff. So, you know, again, the ancients were not bumbling post-cavemen. They were very intelligent and very very corrupt. And you think that everything, there's nothing new under the sun, it says in Ecclesiastes, okay, that everything that was done by those that lived in the days of old. That's a paraphrase, okay, but basically that's what it says. And I don't know, I just find that very wonderfully pleasing and confirming of the things that I believed for a very long time. Okay, let's one more here. Let's watch it, and it's only let's see, I think it's like 4 minutes long. So here we go.
I am struggling to express in words.
I'm sorry, we've seen that one already, so let's get rid of that. Okay, that's why I like to get rid of them when as I'm going along. But I guess I got caught up in talking, and okay, here we go. The mystery of the Great Pyramids. This is going to go into a lot of numbers and stuff, and how the Great Pyramid is not a mistake. It's a very intricate, even a mathematical tool, and well, you'll see. Let's just watch it.
How do I think the pyramids were built? To be honest, I have no answer to that question. And anybody who tells you that he or she knows how the pyramids were built are not telling the truth, because we don't know. We don't know. The Great Pyramid contains a number of mysteries. The Great Pyramid, first of all, is very big. The Great Pyramid weighs 6 million tons.
Whoa.
We can calculate that from its mass. It weighs 6 million tons. Its footprint is 13 acres. It's more than 750 feet along each side. It's 481 feet tall. More than 2.5 million individual blocks of stone were used in its construction. But it's not just big, it's really, really precise. The Great Pyramid is locked in to the cardinal dimensions of our planet. The Great Pyramid is targeted on true north, within 3/60ths of a single degree.
Wow.
Now, no modern builder would create a large building and add onto his or her shoulders the additional burden of aligning it to true north within a fraction of a single degree. They just wouldn't get it. They wouldn't understand why it was important to do that. But something drove the builders of the Great Pyramid to go to a very great additional trouble, not only to create this massive, imposing monument, but also to lock it on to true north. And then other things, to incorporate into its dimensions the dimensions of our planet. I don't want to get too numerical or possibly even boring here, but if you take the height of the Great Pyramid and multiply it by 43,200, you get the polar radius of the Earth. And if you measure the base perimeter of the Great Pyramid accurately and multiply that measurement by 43,200, you get the equatorial circumference of the Earth. In other words, for thousands of years, through times, through dark ages, when human beings didn't even know they lived on a planet, never mind its dimensions, that monument has encoded and speaks out the dimensions of our planet on a scale of 1 to 43,200. And the scale is not random. The number 43,200 is derived from a key motion of the Earth, which is called the precession of the Earth's axis. The Earth wobbles on its axis very slowly at the rate of 1 degree every 72 years. And 43,200 is a multiple of 72. In fact, I think it's 600 times 72, but I need to double check that. But it's a multiple of 72. Check it out. So they've given us the dimensions of our planet on a scale defined by the planet itself. And that's an incredibly clever thing to do. How on earth did they do it? Where did that knowledge come from? This is why I'm forced to consider the possibility of a lost civilization in the human story. This is a work of almost, but not quite, space-age precision. It contains errors, but they are human errors for sure, but they're very tiny. The great precision, great skill, great craft. Some people will say to you, oh, the Great Pyramid was built by slaves. That is utter bullshit.
Yes,
no slaves were ever involved in the construction of the Great Pyramid. As far as I know, there were no slaves in Old Kingdom Egypt whatsoever. The Great Pyramid, I've climbed it 5 times. I've been in every known chamber in the Great Pyramid. It is a work of stunning artistic achievement. You're looking at the work of masters of architecture at the peak of their skill. Not an unwilling labor force, but people who gave their labor to that work with love and with care and with attention. There are blocks of stone weighing 70 tons that have been raised more than 300 feet above the ground. And we're not talking a couple of blocks, we're talking dozens of blocks of that weight. The average block weighs about 2.5 tons. It's the moving of those huge blocks of stone, their arrangement into a high precision monument, and the achievement of actually doing it, because you know if you make a small mistake at the base, by the time you get to the summit of your 481 foot high pyramid, you don't have a pyramid, you have a corkscrew. You know? They got it all right, and nobody today can explain how they did it, with the knowledge that is supposed to have been available in ancient Egypt in the Old Kingdom, and with the tools that are supposed to have been available. And that's why I can't help feeling that we are missing some chapter from the human story.
Wow. Very interesting. And right. You know, there's no slaves and cantilevers and everything else. I'm sorry, but those blocks are way too heavy to eat. I don't care how many slaves you put on it. No, this was made probably by Nephilim before the flood as a monument to them. And it was probably made by well, they were a lot bigger and a lot stronger, so they could carry such things. But I think they use a lot of times. They use the sound and vibrations and everything else, because you can do a lot with sound. You can move things with sound. You can force things into other things with sound. It's just amazing. But yeah, the fact that it was done by slaves and stuff is a lie that's been taught to us for many years. And yes, you might say, well, what about the Jews? You know, you're Jewish and you're saying that they didn't have anything to do. Yeah, they didn't have anything to do with the pyramids, but they had things to do with little cities and stuff that were made for pharaohs and stuff, and building them and things like that. But yeah, they were never involved in the pyramids, but they were involved in a lot of other construction that happened in ancient Egypt. So let's see, let's get rid of that. And so what I think I'm going to do, folks, it's about time to okay, there we go, to put an end to this show. I was looking at the where the heck did it go? The plan for the rest of the series here. So let's see, that was number 6. We got 4 more. So I think Thursday we're going to talk about dreams, visions, and glitches in the Matrix. Next Tuesday will be the Bloodline Wars, DNA, Salvation, and Identity. Next Thursday would be the Coming Reset. Will Yeshua overwrite the system? And the very final show will be about the Watchers, fallen powers, and the controllers of the Matrix. So if any of those things are interesting to you, then you've got an idea what we're going to be doing for the next 4 shows, and forthwith you can make a decision about if you're going to listen or not. Hopefully you'll come and listen to the rest of the 4, or listen. Come and watch. Okay, folks, I'm gonna end this thing. I gotta go in and rest. I got lots of stuff to do tonight before I go to bed. I hate to say that, but it's true. And so, hey, let me pray. May Yahweh bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you, be gracious unto you. May He watch you going out and coming in, you're rising up and you're lying down. May He grant you the peace that passes all understanding. And may He do so for all righteous people, Father. And may He just urge even stronger those who don't know Him to come and know Him. And because time is short, and everybody needs to know Him, Father, and have a relationship with Him. So, Father, we pray all these things in Yeshua's name. And here, forthwith, I'm going to sign out, folks. I'm just going to wait for my... there's a little delay on Telegram, so I'm just going to wait for that to end. Actually, no, it'll show. Well, I don't know. Come on. I think it's like a 7 or 8 second delay, maybe 10. So I'm going to get ready, though, the minute it stops. I'm out of here. Okay. Folks, God bless you, man. Love you guys, and I can't wait to be together with you again on Thursday. Okay? Take care, and have a wonderful night, and a great tomorrow. And we'll see you Thursday night. Okay? Bye, y'all.